Welcome back to this week's episode of Name That Fallacy. I'm your host, Max Bross, and these are my contestants today, Tony and Lori Benson. On this week's episode, we're going to be going through 15 different fallacies, and what our contestants are going to have to do is guess the fallacy after I've named all these definitions and give them an example. They will have 30 seconds to then slam their hand on the table and guess the fallacy from the example I have provided. So that the viewers may be included today, I will be providing the definitions of all of the fallacies in today's round. First, hasty generalization. Jumping to conclusions without enough evidence and or sampled evidence is not representative. Faulty use of authority. The authority is not an expert on the issue they are talking about. The speaker is biased or unnamed authority. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. Sequence does not mean causation. Correlation is not causation. The effect could be due to many factors. False analogy. Arguing that X is like Y when X and Y are not comparable. Analogies can be used as helpful illustrations for the unfamiliar. Ad hominem. Irrelevant attack on the person rather than on the argument by the person, frequently done by politicians. False dilemma. Either or, black or white thinking. Slippery slope. Faulty prediction. If we allow X, then a disastrous sequence of events will follow. Begging the question. To assume the premise that most things need proof. Circular reasoning. Straw man. To deliberately simplify, diminish, or distort the opposition's view, making the opponent easier to smash like a straw person. Red herring. To distract the audience by bringing in a point that is irrelevant to the issue at stake. Named after a stinky fish people used to throw out to keep hunting dogs off their trail. Two wrongs make a right. Shifting the blame by claiming someone, typically the opposition, is wrong in another way, which does not prove why one is right. Non sequitur. A gap in deductive reasoning. The conclusion does not follow because the minor premise is irrelevant evidence for an unstated and or questionable major premise. Ad populum. Popular appeal to unquestioned beliefs or mass prejudices, bandwagon thinking. Appeal to tradition. Just because something has always been so or thought to be so does not make it good or right. Faulty appeal to emotion. To rely on strong feelings instead of logical support and or emotional manipulation of the audience to cloud the real issue at stake. If they get the answer correct, they get 1 point. However, if they get it incorrect, they get -1 point. If the 30 seconds goes on and is unanswered, then we move on to the next example. Tom has a doctorate in theology, and he says it's okay to believe in evolution and the Bible. Your 30 seconds begins now. Yes, Lori.
Faulty appeal to emotion.
That is incorrect. The correct answer is faulty use of authority. Next example. That group of teenagers is up to no good. They are out after dark, and they are wearing dark clothes and baggy pants. Yes, Tony.
Red herring.
That is incorrect. The correct answer is false analogy. Next example. Ted said, biological evolution is both a theory and a fact. Edwin said, this is ridiculous. How can you possibly be absolutely certain that we evolved from pond scum? Ted said, actually, that is a gross misrepresentation of my assertion. I never claimed we evolved from pond scum. Your time starts now. Yes, Tony.
Red herring.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was straw man. Next example. The school in which my child goes to is big. The classroom must be big. Yes, Tony.
False analogy.
That is incorrect. The correct answer is non sequitur.
Remember, I was going to say that.
Try to take your time before you give your answer.
I was going to say that
incorrect. Okay, next example. You are either with God or against Him. Yes, Lori.
Non sequitur.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was false dilemma. Next example. Marriage has traditionally been between a man and a woman. Therefore, gay marriage should not be allowed. 30 seconds. Tony.
Appeal to tradition.
That is correct. Next example. A driver with a New York license plate cuts you off in traffic. You decide that all New York drivers are terrible drivers. Time starts now. Yes, Lori.
Hasty generalization.
That is correct. Next example. If we allow the children to choose the movie this time, they're going to expect to be able to choose the school they go to or the doctors they visit. Your time starts now. Yes, Lori.
Post hoc ergo propter ho.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was slippery slope. Next example. Jimmy stole Tommy's lunch in the past. Therefore, it is acceptable for Tommy to steal Jimmy's lunch today. Yes, Lori.
False analogy.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was 2 wrongs make a right. Next example. How can you argue your case for vegetarianism when you are enjoying your steak? Yes, Tony.
Faulty appeal to emotion.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was ad hominem. Tony, you are at -2. Next example. Paranormal activity is real because I have experienced what can only be described as paranormal activity. Tony.
Red herring.
Begging the question.
Lori, you are correct. Tony, you are wrong. Since you were both at very similar times, I will give Lori the point.
Okay.
Tony, you get -1. Next example. Mike says, it is morally wrong to cheat on your spouse. Why on earth would he have done that? Ken says, but what is morality exactly? Mike says, it's a code of conduct shared by cultures. So then Ken says, but who creates this code? Your time starts now. Yes, Lori.
Appeal to tradition.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was red herring. Next example. A train always passes after the railroad crossing alarm sounds and the gates come down. Therefore, the railroad crossing causes the train to pass. Yes, Lori.
Begging the question.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was post hoc ergo propter hoc. Next example. Power lines cause cancer. I met a little boy with cancer who lived just 20 miles from a power line who looked into my eyes and said, in his weak voice, please do whatever you can so that the other kids won't have to go through what I'm going through. I urge for you to vote for this bill to tear down all power lines and replace them with monkeys on treadmills. Your time starts now. Yes, Tony.
Faulty appeal to emotion.
That is correct. This is 15 out of 15. Are you ready?
Ready.
Gods must exist, since every culture has some sort of belief in a higher being. Yes, Lori.
Hasty generalization.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was ad populum.
Ad populum.
You get -1 for that. Okay, and the winner of today's round is Tony with -2. Lori, you had -5.
-5.
Congratulations to Tony. Thank you for watching today's episode of Name That Fallacy. Stay tuned for next week's episode.